what I'd like actually to start with is more recap on what we saw regarding the definition of the cybersecurity and digital security. As per the question I submitted to you, now we are actually able to recognize clearly what are the differences between the computer security and the digital security and the cyber security contexts. You have actually clear understanding between this and that. It is a matter of actually when we said last class about the cybersecurity, it's a matter of wits. It pushes you to understand that it is a matter of understanding how to deploy your security approaches. What are the scenarios to deploy in order to succeed in setting up a cyber security solution? It's a context of a digital security at the end, but within the cyber environment, with a good understanding what are the inputs and outputs, what are the flow that we are going to control, the flows in plural that we are going to control. Thus, we can understand the best cybersecurity plan. It is not simple, yes, this is for sure. Yet, it is based on the knowledge. You trespass this limitation or this challenge. Does not mean we cannot. No, it is a matter of understanding. The wits here will act. The wit, your mind, your brain, your understanding, your skills, your capabilities would be actually in question here, would be put in question to set up the cybersecurity plan. Terminologies, we saw enough terminologies to push you also to feel the cybersecurity context. We saw actually the design or the principles that builds up, that helps you to build a design for cybersecurity. And this was actually the last preview we discussed actually about the whatever. Let's just continue. If you have any questions. I believe you have no questions. So the attack surface actually is one of the scenarios that you have to put in your mind and you have to be aware of whenever you're talking about the cybersecurity plan. So to secure a framework, to secure an environment, to secure a cyber environment, you have to be aware of the attack surfaces that you may actually face, or that the environment you are tackling might expose. The attack surface is the list of the points that might represent an access point to attackers or to intruders, to externals, whomever, or it might be actually a reason for data leakage, data breach. It might be a vulnerable access point. It might be actually a future risk. In all cases, it is to be classified as a threat, whether it is available or expected to be a threat in future, even if it's a risk. So all of those actually points, they might be actually all together in the same line, the same framework, the same network or environment. All together they draw the attack surface. All together they actually designate and set up the attack surface. So it is a surface, yes, but it is a list of access points, list of channels, drawing the paths from where list of flows they are going from and to. Attack surface. Attack surface is in plural actually, so tackling different platforms. Those attack surfaces, those input points, or those channels for data flow, they are categorized into 3 categories, which are based on the environment. Starting with the technical view with the networking environment. So we talk about network vulnerability, computer network vulnerability. We talk about, for example, local area network, list of breaches, data leakages, let's say whatever, threat, whatever, data network related or computer network related access points, data flow channels, paths, trunks, and let's say sub networks. All of them, they are to be scanned and utilized to enlist the list of access points and enlist the list of channels via which the flow might pass. Flow of data usually to pass from a point to another. So network attack surface is the first category. There is no order here. There is no the first, the second, the third. No. It's a matter of enumerating only. There are three, but there is no order. There is no first, second, third. No. The second category here is the list of vulnerable points, the list of access points that a software application might impose and expose, through which expose data actually, or internal data or sensitive data to the non-appropriate parties, non-authorized parties. Software applications, they are also presenting a threat. When we talk about attack surfaces, they are to be also considered. If we're talking, for example, about services to be delivered over the web, web application to deliver a list of services, a web application, it might expose access points that would lead to malware injection, that might lead to data exposure or disclosure to non-authorized parties. Web solutions, they are example of software applications. So the second category, via which we may enlist a list of access points that they are given actually unauthorized access to resources, that they may give unauthorized access to resources, which are actually the software applications. Example of software applications, web applications or mobile applications, because web applications and mobile applications, they might be actually accessed using personal devices. And if your personal device is infected, it might cause a problem to the software you are visiting through that infected device. This is the software attack surface. Third category, the human attack surface, via which actually we are talking about a full field of study that surrounds the vulnerabilities here, is the social engineering. The social engineering is the context of tricking users to reach their resources. I might trick you to succeed reaching the resources in your device, or reaching the resources in the network you are connected to, something like that. So the social engineering, it is a breach, it is an attack surface that can be accessed or gained through the human element, through the users, through the human potential, through you as an employee or as an employee or as a student or something like that. There is no order here, there is no first, second, third, but those are actually categories that through which we can classify the attack surfaces, or that through which we can enlist the list of vulnerabilities drawn on the attack surface elements. Attack surface elements, they might be actually ports, IP addresses, devices, network devices, applications, unskilled persons, and so on. When you say an unskilled person is an element from an attack surface, what does it mean? It means a human being like you as a student, like me as an instructor, like technical, like an administrative in the administration. A person, a human being, is an unskilled person, so he is a member of the attack surface. Why? Because we can utilize him, we can trick him to reach the resources he is having, to reach the resources he can access, to reach the network he is connected to. He's unskilled, so we can trick him somehow. Human being is even the skilled parties, they are actually elements of the attack surface. None is deprived from this category of attack, the social engineering, because I can trust you, and you can use the trust to access my resources. So this is a kind of social engineering. Threats and impacts of threats when an attack happens through an attack surface element, actually it has an impact. And the impact severity, it differs from a threat to another. Thus, there is an analysis, attack analysis, that specifies the level of the severity that a threat can cause. Attack analysis. The same scenario, the attack is not only a surface via which we are enlisted. The list of the weak elements that they cause actually access to resources by unauthorized parties only. No, but also we can see a hierarchical view via which we might be able to reach resources based on the hierarchy. Because if I can get into your system, still I cannot get into your resources due to what? Due to the hierarchy where the resources are. For example, I can open the C drive in your computer, but this drive is nothing. There are sub drives or sub folders or sub directories that I have to visit first. If I know the path, I will get in there, otherwise I will fail. So the attack trees is another view via which you can see hierarchically branched elements that you can go through the prescribed path to reach the resources. Attack trees. Tree, CD drives or whatever. I'll show you one graph now. Yes, through this graph, actually, we will be able to access the hierarchy of a bank account, or let's say of a bank administration and bank profile. So resources within the, let's say, a given bank might be segregated somehow like this. So to reach the resource, you have to recognize this path or this tree. If you don't know, you'll fail and you'll waste time searching and things like that. So an attack tree is a context of recognizing the path via which resources are segregated within an environment. This is an example only. So, as a strategy, a strategic view actually of the cybersecurity, you have to recognize that the standards you are going to go after, they have to implement your plan. You're not going to install an antivirus and that's it, stop there. No, it is not like that, the cyber security. It is not like that. It is not to just install a third-party solution and you say that, halas, I finished my job. No, it is not. Your plan to secure an environment, when it is a cyber, when it is a web, when it is a local net or something like that, your plan has to be put on action. What is the plan? The plan is the group of policies you think that you are able to cause a better security. The policy. Yeah, the policy actually, it's a group of the rules or the policies or the politics. Yeah, what they are allowed to do, who is allowed to do, what they are not allowed to do, whomever is blocked, and so on. Politics, rules. Then those politics and those rules, they have to be actually implemented and deployed using specific tools. Because what are the rules? They are a matter of ink on paper, no more or less. But they have to be digitalized and implemented on the cyber environment. So the tools to utilize to implement those politics and those policies, they have to be also measured. Usually we talk about to enforce cybersecurity either with the purpose of preventing a threat or detecting a threat or in response to an attack. or to recover what has been lost or damaged. I repeat. Policies, they are rules you have to implement. And when you implement your plans and your policies and your views or your security consideration, you're going to implement for one of the reasons actually that you are willing to achieve to prevent attacks and threats and vulnerabilities and issues. Preventive, preventive approach. And it means to prevent what can happen as bad action. First view. Otherwise, we're going to implement your security plan to detect threats and malware and existing breaches detection. Or you are going to respond to an attack, respond to an incident, to respond to an event happened. In response to an attack, an attack happened, so you have to make a response, something like that. Or you are going to recover what has been actually lost. If your environment has been hacked, so you have to recover what has been actually exposed or disclosed or deleted or something like that. So to recover, recovery. So one of the reasons here, they are for here actually, you can go for, and you have to think of one of them whenever you are talking to implement a security policy or a security plan. What you implement here in this phase number 2, is it really effective? Is it really actually worth to do and to go after it? Yes or no. This is an answer that you have to get it also to validate what you implemented. You have to see whether it is yes accurate and correct, and it is actually doing what you are expecting to have. We come to an end of this unit number 1. We come to an end of this unit number 1. All the rest is a matter of reading only. You have to recognize that we saw all the details here in the computer security, so it is considered, but it is up to you to read that from the book number 1, chapter number 1. So I give you the chance actually to ask if you have any questions regarding this unit number 1, the introduction to cybersecurity or definition of cybersecurity. Summary here, actually, it is exactly what we saw. And so if you have any questions, please raise them up. Otherwise, let's pass to unit number 2. So, okay, I believe that everything is fine. So let's pass to unit number 2. It's one of the very famous cybersecurity security approaches, which is the cryptography. We're going to talk about decryption scenarios. We're going to talk about cipher generation. We're going to talk about data hidden when communicated. Cryptography. We need cryptographic tools to achieve the realization of the cryptography scenarios. Cryptography, as first understanding or first definition, it's a scenario via which we change the state of the media into something that humans cannot understand. So you send a text, but what has been shared is something that we cannot read. Text we can read, but the thing that we share is not something we can read. It has been encrypted. Then after it has to be decrypted to be read. So cryptography is the context of the encryption, decryption, both. We're going to see the mechanisms and the scenarios that they can actually help us in achieving the cryptography scenario. There are standardized actually approaches via which we implement the cryptography. We talk about symmetric and asymmetric, conventional and non-conventional cryptography. So we are going to define them, and we'll talk about we will define the list of protocols and applications responsible for that can help us in setting up a successful cryptography plan. First definition, the symmetric encryption. The symmetric encryption. Remember, the cryptography is the scenario of the encryption and decryption, both of them. We are going to see so many details. You have to recognize all of them because there are plans where you choose this or that, and there are rules to use of this or that, and so on. Starting with the definition of the symmetric encryption. Here we talk about conventional encryption. What does it mean? We are going to apply a very convenient encryption scenario. We are going to change the media from something that we can read to something that we cannot read, using standardized tools, mechanisms, and solutions, whatever, and using the very respectful methodology. Hey, where we can see the context of the symmetric encryption. So the scenario of the encryption, first of all, is to generate something said cipher text. Whatever the media you are going to send or whatever media you are going to receive, it is communicated through a state which is said to be cipher text. This cipher text, it is to be generated due to encrypting, and we selected encrypting an original media. Elements that they are interfering in the scenario of the cryptography, elements they are actually the media itself, whatever. It's a message, text, group of numbers, photo, image, video, audio, whatever. All of the media that you recognize that you can digitally share. They are the first actor. The second actor is the algorithm. The algorithm responsible for making the encryption. As per an example, we are talking about digital encryption standard. DES is one of the very famous conventional encryption algorithms. The third is a key utilized to recognize what tool we used, what algorithm we used, and the key will be helping in changing what we encrypted to a normal and original media. Small recap, we need the media, the media that we are going to encrypt. And the media we are going to encrypt is going to be encrypted using what? Using a standard algorithm means, and the algorithm will use a key to do the encryption. What has been encrypted, it would be changed into ciphertext. The ciphertext is something that we cannot read as a humans. We cannot understand as a humans, but we can read symbols and numbers and letters. We can read, yes, but we have no clue what is that. It is a ciphertext. There is no human meaning or human understanding to what is the content of that. There are actually, it is a list of non-coherent alphanumerical contents, even with some symbols, alphanumerical and symbols. So the ciphertext So an encryption would generate the cipher, and then after an encryption scenario generated the cipher, the receiver would receive the cipher and the receiver has to change the cipher into something that we can understand, the original media, what has been sent from the beginning. We are going to send this, we have to receive the same. Here we have to change it from cipher to original, let's say media, which is said decryption, the decryption here. What we encrypted here, we have to decrypt here. So the cipher is going to be decrypted into an original media. The actors to do this decryption using symmetric approach are the standard for the decryption. The standard would receive an input, the cipher content, the cipher text. The standard is an algorithm also. It's an algorithm to do the reverse scenario of the encryption. The whatever, actually, you have to recognize that the algorithm is going to do the decryption. Whatever example is the same, yes, maybe, but it will do the reverse scenario of the encryption. Cipher to text, cipher to media, cipher to audio, cipher to image, something like that. Also, this standard is going to use a key to correctly change the cipher into an original media, because it can use another key or whatever, another key, but it will not give you the correct media, it will give you something different. So you have to use the appropriate key to change the cipher using the standard into an original media. Okay, this is the decryption scenario. So media to be encrypted, changed to cipher and transmitted. Cipher transmitted, received by a decryptor, it gets decrypted, then changed into an original media, which is the plain text or whatever the media is. The key is here, and this symmetric scenario, they are the same. The secret key, actually, or whatever the key has been utilized to encrypt, it is the same to be utilized to decrypt. So sender and receiver, computer A, computer B, both of them, they share the same key. This is a symmetric encryption. This is symmetric. This is a conventional encryption via which we are seeing the same key utilized to encrypt and to decrypt. Any questions, please?
No, Mr.
Okay, great.
No
Great.
question.
Great, good. So we continue. Scenarios behind of the encryption, actually, we may talk why we are talking about changing to a cipher, then after from a cipher to an original media. Just let's send the media like it is. Because there are threats. Here, A sends to B, the distance in between it might be actually very long. We send from here to United States, from here Oman to the United States. It's a very long path. There are intermediate, there are tiers in between that they can intercept what we send. So, to avoid the interception and to protect the media, we have to talk about security plans. Amongst of them, the encryption. So we encrypt the media. So the media is going to be encrypted to avoid threats in between when communicated. We talk about actually the attacks. Example is the injection. Some of the attacks which are actually very successful towards the very basic actually standards that they do the encryption, the crypt analysis and the brute force attacks. Start with the crypt analysis. It's a scenario via which we try to break in the encryption standard utilized to generate a cipher. So we get the cipher and we do a crypt analysis attack to change this cipher into an original media. We hack it to get the original media. The crypt analysis is one of the scenarios to do that. The brute force also does that, but the crypt analysis, it is to utilize a list of, let's say, pre-shared keys to decrypt the ciphertext, the shared ciphertext. It recognizes it has to. There is a tool. Actually, there are scenarios via which we have to explore what are the standards used to generate the ciphertext, and to use a dictionary to, let's say, mimic the keys utilized for generating the encryption and so on. Crypt analysis. It's a matter of guessing. It's a matter of analyzing in crypto. Yes, analysis, analyzing, using technological tools, because the standard utilized to encrypt is not forbidden for others to use. No, the one used that standard can share that. Actually, the algorithm used by the computer A to generate the ciphertext, it's not specific to that device. No, it's to be utilized by everybody. They are public device, public standards, public tools, public algorithms. So we can guess the original text from the generated cipher. A second scenario via which we can attack the cipher, or let's say the encrypted data, encrypted media, is the brute force attack. The brute force attack is a scenario which actually we utilize a group and a list of passwords, or let's say list of keywords, or list of keys, to break what has been actually generated as a ciphertext. It is very similar to the crypt analysis, yet this is a matter of testing. We have to generate the keys list, and we're going to use them one by one to decrypt the generated cipher, or the captured cipher, or the intercepted cipher. Key number 1, can it decrypt? If yes, we got it. Otherwise, we pass to the key number 2. So keep key number 2. Does it decrypt? If yes, we got it. Otherwise, we pass to key number 3, and so on. A long list of keys we test until we succeed in breaking the cipher into normal and original media. To avoid such attacks and to block such attacks from being successful and cause them to fail, we have to use complex passwords. We have to use complex keys to encrypt and to decrypt also. The key, actually, in all cases, I come back here, the key to utilize to encrypt or to decrypt is a sort of alphanumerical value, some letters, some numbers, specifying the key to encrypt, and also specify the key to decrypt. That is a key. And since it is a sort of alphanumerical value, so it has to have a size and memory. It has a size and memory. And since it has a size and memory, so there is a question that we can answer here. Can we guess easily the key used? It depends on the size. The answer is it depends on the size. If the size is very small, one letter, for example, one letter only is the key, means 4 bits. So yes, absolutely, we will guess it, because if it is one letter, so it is one of the 26 English letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. It will be one of them. Very easy to guess. But if it is very long key, no, it is not easy to guess it. Easy to guess or complex to guess, it needs time. Here it is, the last column. It needs time to be guessed. Thus, we are talking about exhaustive key search. So, the attacks represented here, they would fail when we generate an exhaustive, when we cause, actually, as the developer, as the persons doing the encryption and decryption, they cause, they generate keys, they use keys, but anybody tries to intercept will feel exhausted, or the software used to intercept, they will get exhausted. They will fail because the key needs time. See, for example, if we are using 168 bits key size for the desk encryption scenario, see how much time we need. 5.9 by 10 power 30 years. This is by the speed of a computer. This is by the speed of a computer. It will never end. 5.9 by 10 power 30 years. This is actually, even the number I cannot read it. Me, myself, I cannot read the number. To read the number only. It's enormous. But when we talk about actually 4 bytes, 4 bytes means 4 characters, only 4 characters only. Key, see how much time? 2.15 milliseconds means immediately the computer will get it. If you're using a key to encrypt or to decrypt that size is 4 bytes, 4 characters, immediately 2.15 milliseconds the computer will attack you and will decrypt the encrypted media, the ciphertext means. Thank you for today. Just if you hear your name, please say yes. I'm going to stop the recording here.